Another good thing for performance is to leave as many objects unpowered as you can, and then it doesn't have to process those things basically. So let's make this movable. And this is looking for labels, which includes like sculpts and stuff. So now this has detected something. But then we want to know how close it is to some other object. Then when it hits when it's found something near it, then find out how the distance between that object and the object next to it, kind of thing. So then you'd probably use a laser scope and have it go there, facing this way, give it some range, and then display that. So this is like horribly arbitrary, I grant you, but hopefully it will demonstrate the kind of point. So up here, nothing is going on, but this gadget and that gadget are still doing something. It's still detecting for labels, and it's still looking for something interrupting the laser scope. But it's not actually doing anything with that information until all of them are in place. So we don't actually want that to display. So this laser scope is actually finding data, but we don't want to display it until it finds data and until it hits the ground. So when it hits the ground, then it displays that data. But then it could be the other way around. If it was falling on this side, it would be detecting stuff, even though the laser scope doesn't have any data to output. So it's still showing that number displayer, even though there's nothing to output, and we don't actually want it to show. So you could use a so it's processing this object all the time. So you could use an AND gate to say if it's detected something like the ground and it's the laser scope is hitting something, then show the distance that the laser scope is hitting. So now it doesn't show that text gadget, and it won't do on this side either. But this is still running all the time, and that's still running all the time. If it's not on the ground, you actually don't need to check this at all. So in that case, we could power this with the trigger zone. So now when the trigger zone detects something, then the laser scope detects the distance that you want to display. And then when it actually detects something on the laser scope, then we display the number. So minimum number of gadgets are being powered at any one time, so this is required. And then once this is powered, then this is then it will check to see if this is required. So if you put that on the other side, it should hit the ground, but there's nothing for the laser scope to detect. So it needs this one to be checking now, but it still doesn't need this one to be displaying anything. So it still has like the minimum number of gadgets being powered at any given time, but it still works like an AND gate, because both of these have to be detecting stuff for this to be shown. So that kind of technique is very useful, that kind of mindset of powering the fewest gadgets possible, as we saw with the emitting complex logic to score a one-off thing. That is very good for having the fewest number of gadgets using thermo as possible. This is good for having the fewest number of gadgets powered as possible. If you have calculators or something, so let's say we're going to output it, but just multiply it by 10 for no reason. So let's times it by 10, and wire from the distance into the calculator, and then the calculator into the display. And if we put it on this side again, then it's displaying the value times 10, but this calculator is being powered all the time. So that's being processed and using performance power. So really we don't need any of this logic to be powered unless the trigger zone is hitting. So then we can put it all into a chip. And because it's in a chip, We can just plug that into the power. When the chip is powered, then the stuff inside it can be powered. And when the chip isn't powered, the stuff inside it can't be powered. So now we've got this completely separate logic that is being checked only when necessary, which is even better for performance. And then it checks all the stuff. But then technically this calculator doesn't need to be powered unless it hits something, so you could do the same over here. Depends on how deep you want to go with it, but it all depends on the case and how much performance power this logic is drawing. But there you go. I'd like to thank WoodSense, Coldbiones, Creator4983 and all of my other supporters that make these tutorials possible. Check out TAPgiles.com to find out how you can support me in helping Dreams creators. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.